Welcome, acolytes. Today, Markiplier supports AI. That's what I heard at least. Let's see what this is about, and more Pegasus will show how, what, when, and why.
Okay, we gotta talk about the Markiplier situation. Basically, people are trying to cancel him now for allegedly supporting AI. So we're gonna go over everything.
By the way, I can tell you right now that this is absolute bollocks. The thing is, Markiplier has a very, in my opinion, neutral stance about it, because the stance that he has, I also have. It is a tool to be used, but it's also dangerous, and the implementation that we have right now is bad. But the tool itself, AI, isn't bad. It's just the bad faith actors that go in, steal stuff, and do everything they can to just make money without actually sharing with the people they stole from. So yeah, the interpretation that is right now in it is bad. But let's just hear it.
From the video that is apparently getting him canceled, where people are saying that he's defending AI, to people accusing him of using an AI thumbnail and apparently promoting AI in his podcast. We're gonna go over.
Oh yeah, by the way, I used an AI thumbnail at one point. Nobody gave a shit. Just saying. Maybe it's because I'm small. And the man that actually gave a shit, well, I had to ban him because he was toxic as F. How can you... People will literally out of pure stubbornness, not listen to you just because you're toxic. So yeah, at least argue properly. For F's sake.
Over the cut-up clips that people are getting mad about, all of the Twitter drama, the rampant mental illness, and in fact the backlash got so bad, Markiplier actually made an entire hour-long response stream. So we're gonna check all of that out. Subscribe or you become a terminally unemployed Twitter user. Right, let's start with this tweet. Markiplier is being called out for directly supporting AI research, but he believes the tech can do good. There are reasons to be critical of AI the way that it currently is. That doesn't mean that it's entirely as a concept a problem. He's helping fund Real Good AI, a non-profit try to make a model that doesn't steal art. Markiplier made it clear that he doesn't support current generative AI models and believe that they steal from creators. Right, so here's one of the tweets.
Yes, basically correct, yes. And AI is inevitable. You won't stop it. It's done. We just have to... Basically, the only thing we can do is steer it in a direction where it's fair for everyone.
Tweets that went viral. Markiplier, one of my favorite YouTubers since I was 14, are you still 14 by the way, is defending AI and uses it. And this got 41,000 likes. It got community noted. This tweet refers to a clip of Markiplier asking ChatGPT questions similar to how one would use Google as a search engine. There's no defense being made on his end in this clip. If you've Googled something as of May 2024, you are also using AI. The tech is everywhere. So we're gonna check out this clip in a second, but this person continues. For those who want confirmation, I didn't get the chance to sit down and check it myself, but it was in the latest Distractable podcast and he was using ChatGPT as if it's Google technically. This actually made me so freaking upset. Oomph pointed out that this was one...
Using ChatGPT as Google is one of the least problematic thing. You know what's problematic? That the creators of the AI programmed it in a way where they just steal art, information, everything from other creators and use it without asking them or paying them. That's the biggest problem.
One of his videos a few months ago where he also uses AI. Also searching up here, apparently anyone who brings up Markiplier's AI usage in any subreddit, Markipliers or Distractables, they get banned. This is one of the posts I was able to screenshot and find. Right, so this person is basically saying Mark's use of artificial intelligence and how there's very real consequences. He just plays it off as a joke when it's not. The subreddit is taking down these posts and not actually hearing people's concerns. Right, so let's look at the clip people are mad about. The way my face freaking fell during these whole 2 minutes, I didn't have Markiplier defending AI usage on my regular Wednesday afternoon, and we got this 2-minute clip. Now, this clip is from Ethan Nestor's video, We Tried Peanut-Free Candy.
This does feel like a vehicle for protein, where you don't really eat this for the taste, you eat it for the nutritional value.
What? Hold on. Hey. I was just wondering if you could tell me what the protein profile of sunflower seeds is?
Yeah, hey, sunflower seeds are a good source of protein. They contain all essential amino acids, but not in perfectly balanced amounts. Typically, they have around 20 to 25 grams of protein per 100 grams. They are especially rich in methionine and cysteine, but lower in lysine, so they aren't considered a complete protein on their own. If you combine them with other sources like legumes, you can create a more balanced amino acid profile.
I didn't listen.
No worry.
Oh.
I asked because, you know, that's ChatGPT's like voice talk feature.
Everyone's gonna hate you.
I love it.
What about the water?
What about the water?
It's stealing the water.
Where?
I don't know how it works. I've been told. It's taking the water.
Oh.
Isn't it?
Right, so Markiplier asked ChatGPT a question, just like your dumbass on Twitter, probably Google shit using AI.
Yeah.
And confession, guys, I've also done this before. I have asked ChatGPT a question. The horror, just the absolute horror. They also might be concerned about the fact that Ethan brought up the water thing, right?
F the water. It's not about the water thing. I think it's not about the water thing. Irrelevant. For F's sake. Why is this bad? Please, could somebody that actually is against AI, that doesn't support it, that thinks that it's evil reincarnated, explain to me, while Googling basically, using a AI to Google for you, is bad. Because it's the exact same thing as if you type everything in. There is literally no difference except that in one version of the thing you get a voice. Or even not even a voice, you still Google something. And by the way, ChatGPT gives you that distillated version of information. Google can be paid to actually pop up sites that may or may not say the truth. ChatGPT is relatively neutral there. I won't say it's perfect, because it's not. But it's relatively neutral.
Basically, he was sort of, it sounded like mocking people who didn't know what they were talking about when it comes to AI. And basically, a simplified version, basically AI server cooling uses a ton of water, right? So data centers use cooling towers to dissipate the heat that is generated from running these things. And that's why he brings up water there. Also, there's some other shit like, you know, the mining of metals used in AI leads to pollution or soil erosion, etc., etc. And it can be harmful for the environment. But anyways, they continue.
Well, okay, so...
By the way, this is so bollocks. You don't need any metals for the AI itself, you need a PC to run it. Technically, you don't. You mine for the PC, not for the AI, and the PC is a neutral force. So, yeah, in my opinion, this argument falls apart.
The thing about that is in computers, data centers need water. Do you know why?
Cooling?
Even the water thing. What the fuck? Really? Really? Oh.
It's cooling. So that's what they're doing. That's what they mean when it's taking the water.
Who takes more water? Okay? ChatGPT or almonds?
Let's ask ChatGPT. Hey, what would consume more water? The data centers that power you and your ability to answer my questions, or almond growing in all of California?
All almond farming in California uses significantly more water than data centers. Almonds require around a gallon of water per almond, which adds up to billions of gallons annually. Data centers also consume water, especially for cooling, but the volume is much smaller compared to large-scale agriculture.
You're not just saying that because you're ChatGPT and you wouldn't want to be accused of stealing too much water, are you?
Nope. It's
Right, so people kind of took this as Markiplier sort of defending AI and mocking the critics, right? Now, first off, he's just pointing out straight up facts here, so you shouldn't be getting mad at actual facts. Now, the argument some people are making on Twitter is that it's like poisoning poor people's water in particular, right? So it's harming poor people, or, you know, the water that's being used is not being recycled. But anyways, that's besides the point.
I don't know how to data center things work, but normally you don't directly touch the PC or the thing that in water because, well, that's electricity. It could go kaput. Maybe I'm wrong by this, by the way. So this is just a SmilingLich theory. But it's actually not directly touching it. It's run through tubes, and those tubes aren't necessarily poisoning the water. Yeah, it's just you cook it once and then it's fine. It's not like in Atomkraftwerke or that they don't have, like in Atomkraftwerke they just have a direct contact with the uranium and it gets radiated. Then we have a problem. Or something like in hospitals. Basically just washing your hands of blood. It's just contaminated then. In those data centers, as I assume, because a friend of mine actually had water cooling, it has no direct contact with stuff like this. The only thing that it gets, because it's a closed environment with the water, or relatively closed, it could get, well, basically poisonous for the human if it's too long in a tube, but that's also, puddles are also poisonous for humans. Same principle there. Still, water that's just still, and just, well, bacteria and such just evolve in it.
Point, Markiplier did actually respond to this in this clip. Markiplier,
and by the way, you can still cleanse it, so easily.
Basically saying to the people who are trying to cancel him, you're mad, that's great, here's my stance on AI, redirect your anger towards changing it for the better, is exactly why he did not deserve the hate he has gotten recently. And this got like 60k likes, and apparently this person was trying to defend Markiplier. But this was not a good clip that they actually chose here, and a bunch of people got really mad at this and started quote tweeting and getting mad at Markiplier.
That's what I started this at, is like, we're on the same side. We're absolutely on the same side. And there's a side here that is for the betterment of this in the first place. So I personally am doing nothing besides paying for the foundation. That is the only thing that I'm doing in this, the only thing I've been doing. But it's something that I've talked about because it's important to understand. To fight something, you have to understand what you're fighting. Right? You have to.
He's so correct about that. So correct. You have to understand your enemy. You have to go up. If you're going up against something, you have to bring some understanding of it. Okay, we just have actually along, well, 15, 20 years, I would say it already started 20 years ago, where a lot of extremists actually were fighting against right radicalization. Where Atheists were fighting against radicalization, blah, blah, blah. It went very south. Now we have basically a tyrannical state that pops out. And they basically just fought against right-wings without informing themselves. Now, after a while, it hunts them. It goes not 180 degree. It goes to a point where we are in risk that the next guy who actually takes over will not just say, okay, we have to reduce the freaking, let's just say, waves of immigration. He will say, well, some buildings are open where you could, repeat history. That's not good. That's not something we want. We want, as far as possible, make peaceful choices.
It's something that I don't even fully understand. But if you want to change something, you have to understand it. You have to try to understand.
Right, so this clip is pretty out of context. It still looks pretty decently okay for Markiplier, but not enough to quell the Twitter storm, it seems. We'll look at the full...
The thing is, you won't quell the Twitter storm freaks anyway, so just say what you think and it's fine.
Context later. It's a whole 1 hour stream, but basically he's trying to say that, you know, he's trying to understand AI so that, you know, we can fight against it properly. You know, you need the knowledge of what you're fighting against to actually, you know, be able to combat it effectively. So they sort of realized what they did. Please watch the stream or get the full context before replying. I have way too many people repeating the same thing, that he's supporting AI. He literally isn't. Right, so people saw that one cut up clip and responded, y'all don't give a frick about black people or literally anything, surprise, surprise. 24k likes.
Of course, it's only about black people. What the fuck? Get shafted, honestly. What the freak is out? It's about AI, not
Ladies and
you.
gentlemen, twitter.com. What the fuck are you even talking about? How did this get 24k likes? How is this related to black people at all? Well, I know what they're actually talking about, but brace yourselves before you hear this reason, because you're about to launch yourself out the window. Right, let's look at the follow-up first. Please do not focus on what could be when this is directly impacting folks' livelihood just because y'all want to be ignorant, because nowhere in any of this did this man mention Memphis. Y'all do not know him. So people responded, what? Like, what are you doing? That video is crazy because what is ethical AI? Not gonna lie, as a black person, even I'm sitting here like, what? Because I have no clue what this is going on about. Right, so apparently from what I understand, the reason is that AI is somehow poisoning black people specifically because, I don't know, it might be affecting the water in like certain communities, and then it's stealing from black people.
Just say it. They think that the AI is racist. Yeah. I just don't believe there is anything else to say here.
Specifically somehow, which I don't think it's a black only issue. It's probably affecting the entirety of the human race here, but more people jump in. I don't give a flying frick about how you feel. Bitch, AI is literally killing black communities. Okay, now it's killing them. All right. But y'all never cared. Y'all just want to keep stealing from black folk like y'all always do. But this shit is sad as frick. I think it's sadder to, you know, be on Twitter crying about this, but okay. Y'all know that shit is literally poisoning black communities and even rural white communities, but now we gotta make it better. 8k likes, by the way. Another classic. You cannot make something inherently built with capitalist structures and off the back of oppressed groups better or more ethical. You have to completely tear it down. Trying to fix it from within simply allows it to thrive in its current state. So you're telling me there is zero good uses for AI. We should just take down every bit of technology in the entire world, even though it might, you know, solve cancer one day or something. Let me clarify, this isn't inherently in regard to Markiplier. Then why did you quote tweet Markiplier? Like, what are you talking about? Y'all have zero backbone and AI is trying to fry the earth within a decade because y'all repeatedly put it off in favor of more important things. In other words, doing nothing ever. Basically, somebody tweeted this, Markiplier on his AI controversy. You guys pushed him to his breaking point.
I confess that I was the first fucking person to be sounding the goddamn alarm that it was bad. I was the first fucking person.
He's correct about that.
To say this is honey all over again.
Well, he's a little bit mad. This person responds, you guys pushed him to his breaking point. He received valid criticism, and the criticism was that harsh because of the current difficult times we live in. We're all tired, exhausted, scared, and everyone's future is at stake, so I think everyone had a pretty normal reaction. It is not a normal reaction considering you guys don't even know his opinion. I think the biggest issue with the whole Markiplier using AI scandal is that 90% of his fandom doesn't actually listen to Distractable, that's his podcast, where he frequently used ChatGPT either to look up information or generate bits. It's not a one-off usage, it's been consistent. We got people freaking out on TikTok watching Markiplier defend ChatGPT and constantly use AI in his podcast. Also, you can't talk about it on the subreddit or you'll get banned. And his brother is a furry artist. Like, they are completely different people. Y'all acting like AI is evil. Just incredibly lazy and horrible for the environment, so kinda, yeah. Is Markiplier a good guy when he's killing our planet with each AI generation? Or when he was cool with PewDiePie censored being is crazy, by the way, was being an open white supremacist? That's also completely false, but okay. Moving on to Markiplier's full response. Markiplier versus AI Fight Night. So first he talks about how he was warning everybody about this.
I was the first fucking person to say this is honey all over again. This is honey all over again. I was trying to warn Bob and Wade way the fuck back in time. The danger of it, how it was going to be a problem. This was like way back in like 2022. I was telling them that there was going to be a time when someone could punch in a prompt into a AI and it was going to be able to generate an entire podcast of us. And they laughed. And they laughed. And they laughed at me.
Okay, so he's definitely kind of pissed. Markiplier has been consistently warning people about the dangers of AI, and he would sort of showcase how concerning it is and how fast it's evolving, and then people took that as him somehow supporting it. Now, if you're confused about the Honey thing, Honey is a scam sponsor that he basically warned the entirety of YouTube about several years before it was actually exposed.
There's gonna, in like a couple years, there's gonna be the great Honey conspiracy. There's some shady shit going on. I can't put my finger upon it.
And he's basically saying that he's kind of done the same thing here with AI, although I'm sure a bunch of people were warning about AI as well. But to put Markiplier as the, forefront of AI here, this guy who's championing it, rather than the like Omega Corpo companies or random other people, I feel like Markiplier is on your side here, right? So then he talks about the nuance of the whole situation, right? That you can't just say that all AI is bad. That just doesn't make sense because, technology is not that simple. And obviously AI in some cases can be used for really good things.
I can't promise at any point I was not excited about it because as a technological development, there is a reason for some people to be excited about this. And it's not for the reasons that you might think. I'm not shouting that, yes, it's great that it takes up so much power. No, there are serious medical advances and there are serious legitimate uses to this technology and the research that is being done to it. However, right now, the main problem that we face is that every single company in existence and the governments thereof of the countries that those companies are in are all throwing billions and billions of dollars and man hours into building these AIs. That kind of laws and regulations go out the window. The actual reaction that people are having to this is a natural cause of this threat to their livelihood, to their ability as an artist, to everything that they're doing. And that is incredibly valid.
Right, so obviously there's going to be a ton of positive things about AI coming out as well. I mean, it might legitimately solve cancer, a bunch of diseases. We might get, breakthroughs in science that will allow us to do things that we can't even conceive of. Maybe space travel, actually considering moving humans as a civilization to another planet thanks to all the discoveries that AI will do. But obviously the dangers being that a ton of people will be losing their jobs, entire livelihoods might be uprooted, entire industries will be changed forever, and people are rightfully scared here. But Markiplier is not the villain here, okay? Making Markiplier the villain because of one clip you might have saw or one thumbnail that might have been AI generated when he's obviously trying to do his best is just crazy to me. I feel like this is another instance of cancel culture trying to take its root. They saw that this guy is chilling controversy free for a bit too long, and we can't have that. I'm an
Oh, for F's sake, did I just...
unemployed reject fucking freak who has no prospects in life, and I want to do something to make me feel good, so I'll try to cancel this person
exactly
that everybody cares a lot.
Damn, I just realized I forgot to turn on my microphone. Gonna cut it out afterwards. Irrelevant.
Right? And I think the main villain is obviously the mega corpos pouring billions and billions of dollars into this shit, not giving a about the ethical boundaries. So this next part, he talks about the thumbnail where people are accusing him that he possibly used AI.
Midjourney came out in 2022. So there was a time when I believe, and honestly, I should probably, people are very valid to say this. There is one thumbnail in particular that I can say had something from there, which is Simulacra 2, I believe. So it was still composited into other things, but I was like, oh, it's good at making nightmare faces, so maybe I'll make a nightmare faces. And I totally acknowledge I haven't even thought about that until this all came up. So I'm perfectly happy to go back, change that, get rid of the thumbnail. In fact, I'll do that after this stream.
I'm gonna be honest, don't. Just don't. Just say F off. I didn't do it since. This and this is my reasoning why I did it. Point. Just don't bow to freaks, for fuck's sake. And by the way, the AI is good at doing nightmare faces because everything that the AI actually produces looks dead and unnatural. That's why I used it for at some point. And it's fine to use a tool for that.
Right? This is all just something that I was posting as of this morning. So, but there was a plague that was going into these stock photo sites. And that's when I started to realize how bad this was really going to be. You would get to the point where you would not be able to tell, or it would be difficult to tell. Now I'd say I have a pretty good eye for it, and I think I can tell what is and is not AI.
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, the standards that people are holding him to is impossible to maintain because they might be super parasocial or they might just be haters of him or something. I'm not too sure. But it seems like they consider him as this infallible deity that has never made a single mistake in his entire life, right? One AI image in one thumbnail a couple years ago that he possibly did not know about is not something you should, get on his ass about, right? He's obviously trying to do his best. I'm sure he pays a bunch of animators and artists for his projects, right? And, people might call me out for being a hypocrite here. Well, you criticized Mr. Beast's AI tool, right? But that was a bit different, okay? He was literally dragging and dropping his face onto other people's thumbnails, okay? That is like the most blatant, hey, I'ma steal your shit, bro, right?
Yep. True.
And, it doesn't matter if we're going to get to that eventually. It's just like, hey, why is this guy who's supposed to be for the creators championing this cause here, which is like encouraging stealing and making it as efficient as possible to steal, right? So I think that's a completely different situation there. This seems like it was like an honest mistake, right? So this next part, he talks about his podcast Distractable, where people called him out for, again, using AI for, asking queries. We read that whole Twitter post.
One of the episodes of Distractable that people often talk about as being an example of me supporting AI, which is not, is Caker AI, right? I presented to Bob and Wade images that were AI generated and images that were stock photos. And I asked them to tell which was which. And the whole point of that, and I think what was lost on people, is that was meant to scare them. That was meant to scare the audience. That was meant to translate just how bad this could be because of the danger of it, because of how hard it would start to be to differentiate. And that was a year ago. What was that? That was more than a year ago, right? And that is not the first instance of when I was sounding the alarm of how bad this could be. Now, I am not saying that I'm flawless. I'm not saying that I'm perfect here. I'm not even saying that I've done it right or good.
Right. So basically he's saying that, he's literally trying to show people how scary AI is actually becoming, and simply even showing you the problem is enough to cancel him. And I feel like it's important to know at least what the threat is, right? If you lose your mind and shit yourself and run in a corner every time AI is mentioned, then you're obviously not going to be able to keep up with what is happening, right? So it's important to actually know what is going on, so you can have the tools to actually combat it. Know thy enemy or whatever, right? If someone can clone my exact voice and exact face and, create a video of me perfectly AI, I think I would like to know about it, because at least then I can maybe somewhat prepare for it, although that's going to be pretty hard. But
yeah, the thing is, we need an adjustment to the justice system and to the AI tool, because yes, AI, I think already is on a point where this is the thing, or where this is a thing that can happen, and the justice system just has to be way more efficient about things and way quicker and neutral, basically, because right now the corruption that's in there is just freaking overwhelming for the most part. Not everywhere,
But just mentioning AI doesn't mean you automatically support it. I think that is completely ridiculous, and it just shows how, I don't know, oversensitive people are or whatever, right? So moving on to this next part, Markiplier talks about Netflix actually embracing AI and being particularly shameless about it. And this is like the real enemy, okay? This is like the mega corpos who are essentially don't give a they'll just fire everybody, replace you with AI and stuff, right?
You have just recently, just in the past couple weeks, you had Netflix coming out proudly saying that they have VFX that are AI generated, and oh, what a time saving, and oh, what a money saving thing was. I could talk about a lot of things about how Hollywood and the movie industry in general wastes money, but that is obviously disheartening and is the natural result from something that I've been talking about. And the reason of
Yeah, and instead of actually attacking them, no, they attack Markiplier. What is wrong with you? Honestly, what is wrong with people who actually attack Markiplier? He has a sensible pattern of thinking here. He does the things that are actually positive for us all, and then Netflix comes out and everybody glazes them. If you freaks could just refocus on the freaking companies, do it. Let people who actually want to help you in peace.
which I have been talking about, is the same reason that people are trying to come after me for talking about it in the first place. It's to raise awareness. Anytime that I do talk about it, it's to talk about the dangers of it, or how scary it is, or how bad it is, or how it's misunderstood. And by knowing about it, people assume that I'm using it all the time and in my content and everything like that. That's not the case.
Oh my god, is this guy being fucking reasonable right now? It's pissing me off. Why is this guy being reasonable? I can't stand it because I'm stupid. I can't stand it because I lack brain cells. It infuriates me. Let me go post on Twitter and Reddit all day, complaining about this guy. What's that? Oh, I have no job and I'm a fucking loser who spends all my time terminally online trying to cancel people for no good reason at all and literally have no prospects in life, completely broke. Yeah, that is actually me. Why do you ask? So what I got from his whole reasoning about this is he's just sort of trying to be proactive, not actively trying to hurt anyone. And maybe he's using AI behind the scenes or whatever. Obviously, people are going to have their conspiracy theories. But, from the little bit I know about Markiplier from the internet, he seems like a well-meaning guy, all right? He seems like he's just trying to do his best here. And it's crazy. I just find it insane that people always go after the people who are literally just the nicest people, the people who legitimately want to do good and are trying their best to, learn from the situation and correct their behavior, right? So this next part, he talks about apparently the discussion of AI was being banned on Markiplier's subreddit, and people took this as him avoiding criticism, right? Oh, you can't criticize Markiplier and or something.
But I get why people are reactionary about it, because on the subreddit, it was banned. The discussion of it was banned. And that was not my decision, but I still defend the mod's decision to do that, because there was for people that are wondering if the mods getting death threats was a thing, it was a thing. It still is a thing. And part of that is the reason why they implemented the rule in the first place, is because...
Yeah, makes sense. I'm not letting some freaks threaten me, offing me, just because of presumable freedom of speech. No, sorry, those are threats. F them. Get them out. Best thing to do would be ban them from every social media that there exists.
The discussion...
Freaking some fucked up freaks just going around and doing this stuff to people that are actually... even to each other, even to actually outlookers. Yes, because just in case you're a YouTuber that actually watches me, because there are some, if you have somebody who's that degenerate, they can also attack your fans. So if you don't give a fuck about yourself, fair enough. But give a fuck about your watchers, the people that actually watch you, because your actual community can be attacked by those freaks.
Became incredibly vitriolic.
Okay, here's a wild take. I think you're perfectly entitled to ban whatever the hell you want on your subreddit, especially if it's getting extremely hateful and people are sending death threats. Yes, technically, you shouldn't be banning criticism and you should be taking criticism, but one is that, it's your...
No, criticism, death threats, threats of violence are two completely different things. it's like fat people actually how's it called? Give me a second. Vergleichen. Irrelevant. Vergleichen themselves with tall people or short people. And there is a clear difference between those two. If you're fat, that's a choice. If you're short, big, or in a wheelchair, those are things that happen to you. Most of the times you don't even have a choice in them.
Your own subreddit, you can do whatever the hell you want with it.
It's just like with death threats and criticism. Criticism is actually a productive thing that doesn't necessarily attack the creator, and death threats are just threats that you're gonna end somebody's life. How is this even comparable to each other?
People can leave their criticism elsewhere. 2, okay, suppose you want to allow the criticism. If it's starting to escalate to such, ridiculous attacks where they don't really have much merit and they're just basically a bunch of mentally ill Twitter freaks trying to, clip farm or whatever and trying to generate likes on ridiculous posts. Like on Twitter, they tried to turn this into Markiplier hates black people. Like, where the fuck do you draw that conclusion? I just don't know. They're just trying to be victims so bad, and it genuinely is pathetic. I don't know how you go through your life living like that, like a perpetual victim, looking at ways to get angry every single time, right? But anyways, I think it's a good thing that he actually did make this whole stream to clarify. So anyways, this next part, he talks about how everyone is basically unknowingly complicit in AI.
Because we're all part of the same mud here. I'm on YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google.
Yes.
The videos that I make are part of what help fund Google's Gemini machine. It's why Google search is pretty much destroyed. I'm complicit in the problem, but the alternative is to not make videos at all. And it's not something that I want to do because I enjoy making content. The way that it works inside is so unknowable that even the companies making these and touting and putting their billions of dollars in it don't understand how it works. That's why you have the #1 worst offender of all these language models, which was part of why on my TikTok I said I'm not on Twitter, because there's a certain language model that thinks it's Mecha Hitler.
Okay, I will say Grok went kind of crazy, all right? I don't know what the hell is going on with Grok. Grok needs a few tweaks to the algorithm, to say the least. So after this, he talks about how people are getting really pissy at the even mention of AI, which is not a healthy way to deal with things.
I talked to ChatGPT in that video itself. It was mostly as a bit to showcase how dumb it could be and how funny it could be. But I understand, and I think I started to really understand where people were coming from when even just the mentioning of it or the placing it in a video could become something that people were offended by. But also, I'm a goddamn troll. People have this misconception that I'm kind of nice. And so when there's something that pisses people off, I apologize, but also part of me just really enjoys kind of making people mad.
All right, another
I understand it. I fully understand it. Sometimes there is this little maniac in you that actually just likes watching people suffering. Yeah, I understand it. You shouldn't live it out, to a certain degree. But hey.
Controversial Pegasus take incoming here. I think if you lose your mind the second AI is even mentioned, you're not a very smart person. I think you have a closed mind and are probably not very smart, right? You should be able to hear discussions about any topic and not freak the fuck out, right? If I hear something I disagree with, I will, listen to it at least before completely losing my mind and trying to cancel someone, all right? Just evaluate the situation, sort of formulate your arguments in your mind and just sort of observe, right? Observe what is going on and then come to a conclusion calmly. In this world, you will be exposed to ideas you disagree with, right? Put those in your worldview so you can constantly learn from it, right? Because if you only look at stuff you agree with, you're never gonna learn, right? So this was actually being streamed. So a chatter actually called him out for promoting AI images, right? And Markiplier actually does admit some guilt here.
The accusations of you promoting an AI image winning an art contest because it was interesting, I would say, totally valid. And I would say it was interesting. It was interesting, not in like a, oh my God, it's fascinating. And what's funny about this is, again, this might be a dating thing people might have seen that when it got uploaded to that Spotify feed for Power Wash. That video with MatPat, I'm looking right now, is from September 6th, 2022. I might have been really excited about it. I certainly might have been. I'm not denying that in that video. I'm not going to be like, I hated it then. It's 2022. That was back when it was first getting started, when it was, to me, it was an exciting new venture. That was before the nightmare started to really emerge. But it's 2022, so I can't say that I was immediately informed in my opinions about how quickly it was going to destroy everything.
I mean, I feel like that's a more than good enough response to the situation. I feel like you can't, like, you know, when AI was, you know, initially coming out and stuff like that, you can be awestruck and excited by those images and knowing all of the possibilities, right? I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared, but also really excited about AI because a lot of cool shit will be coming. I'm particularly excited about, you know, maybe transferring consciousness into like a video game. And then you can, if you guys have seen the anime like Sword Art Online, if you can play something like that in real life, holy shit, dude. But also, you know, I see stuff like the Studio Ghibli images floating around, not gonna put it for obvious reasons, but you know, I'm like, okay, this is amazing. It's being generated in 2 seconds, but also, oh shit, I feel really bad for the artist. And you know, it affects my conscience. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm probably not gonna use this shit, right? Because yeah, you know, I'd feel bad for someone just replacing somebody's entire job in like a click of a button. Because what if people start doing that to me, right? What if people start watching AI versions of me that is just way better than me and I could never compete or something, right? And you know, you might think you'll never get to that point, but you know, you're a fucking smug ass narcissistic human. So don't worry, the bots will get you. Then we get to that cut up clip that we saw a while back.
Nobody's safe from it. Nobody. Everybody can get replaced by AI at some point. It's just inevitable at some point. So yeah.
That made people really mad and called him like a person who hates black people for some reason.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side, but I'm more of the alignment with the awareness part of it. I get the wanting to boycott it. I understand that. And I think that there is something to be said about that. However, we're all up against these giant mega corporations and they're not going to stop. But that doesn't mean it's hopeless. I'm not saying I never used it. I'm not denying that I never used it. I would be completely hypocritical if I said that I never used it because I found the technology fascinating. But I'm also not going to say like it's entirely a thing. I haven't used it for months. Oh, I don't use ChatGPT anymore. I forgot to mention that. I don't use it anymore. I can't entirely say that it was out of selflessness, but I don't use it anymore because it was dumb. It was fucking stupid, and it started to piss me off. And then I started to think about it, and I was just like, God, this is such a pain in the ass.
Man, I actually really feel bad for Markiplier. The fact that he actually had to address this, that it got so big that he legitimately had to make a 1-hour stream. And Markiplier, like, I feel like he never addresses drama like this, right? And the fact that he thinks he has to walk on eggshells and he has to prove to everybody, hey guys, I'm not using AI, I'm actually not doing anything here. It's like, I feel like if you're searching something in ChatGPT, I don't think you're the devil. Is that a crazy opinion or whatever? I don't know. The thing is, if you start policing people like that, it can very easily be turned on you, because here you are on YouTube, a platform that definitely uses AI. When you clicked this video on your recommendation, obviously the people who are subscribed, you're legends, but a lot of people clicked it from their home tab or the recommendation, and that was formulated through AI. They saw your preferences through AI and put that shit there, right?
Yeah.
So some of you are unknowingly supporting AI just by being on the platform, watching videos. This money goes to YouTube, which goes to Google, which is using that money to create AI. Congratulations, you're part of the problem, right? So let's not pitchfork people who are actually on the human side and genuinely trying to, you know, fight against this unseen mysterious force that is taking over the world, right? AI is really complicated and it's going to be a very interesting future. Let's just stay hopeful and not get mad at Markiplier, all right? Just fill out a job application, put the edit. Here's what people are saying. I can already see it now. TikTok videos, engagement farming, and clipping parts that ignore him clarifying these things that he clarified. He doesn't use AI, doesn't use ChatGPT. The podcast ChatGPT usage and MatPat AI art thing moment is 2 to 3 years old. He's on our side. He's entirely aware of the environmental community impacts, more than most people. He doesn't like AI and doesn't think it should be used. He's trying to show how dumb AI was in Ethan's video. He's just getting bad at getting his intent across. He's funding research for a project that's trying to turn AI into an actual tool that doesn't steal from humans. humans. Well, you kind of got this spot on. A bunch of people are doing that. I really dislike how everyone on TikTok immediately jumped to, oh man, Mark's an insufferable AI bro now. I thought it was beyond ridiculous. Glad he was so open about everything and kind, especially how aggressive and toxic the chat was at the start. I just can't believe people are this fucking ridiculous. You either die a hero or live long enough to get taken out of context and rebranded a villain. Classic. Now click this video or you lose your job. Welcome back to a series so unemployed. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, this entire freaking Markiplier thing is just stupid. It's just dumb in my opinion. The guy is on your side. Focus on the big companies that would replace you with AI in an instant, not on a guy that actually tries to help. Irrelevant. As it is, acolytes. Good night.